Hi, Kenny here. I'm really enjoying putting these videos out for you. I hope you're enjoying them as well. If you are, please like and hit the subscribe button as well. I'd really appreciate it. I want to tell a bit of a story about my childhood because I grew up on a ski resort, and I thought you'd be interested to know because I'm guessing there's not many kids out there that would have the experience that I had growing up on a ski resort and what it was like and the challenges and that sort of thing. So I grew up on a family-owned small resort in the snowy mountains of New South Wales, Australia. It was called Selwyn Snowfields. On our biggest days in the school holidays, we would have about 5,000 or 6,000 people. We had about 12 or 13 lifts. So it wasn't a massive resort like Whistler or Blackcomb or anything like that. But it was really, really cool. It was family owned and my family operated it. And you only have a select amount of families on there. Like there's not many people actually living on mountain. And apart from that, it's pretty remote. Like the nearest town is at least half an hour drive away, and it was a pretty small town. And so you become pretty close with those people that are living on mountain, and they become your family as well. Schooling was interesting. So my family were seasonal migrators. So in the summer, my dad grew apples on an orchard in Batlow in New South Wales, and then every 6 months, my parents would move up to the snow, and they would do this every 6 months without fail for decades. I don't know how they do this. Like if I move house, I'm just a shattered wreck of myself for weeks. Like moving house is just the worst experience ever. And in my adult life, I just try and avoid it at all costs. But every 6 months without fail, my parents did this. And I think after a while, they just became so efficient at it and so good at it and had all the right tools. And it was just a part of their life that, that was just what they did. So schooling was tough because I couldn't get into a groove with friendship groups or with schooling, or I wasn't very good at school, and I think it was because I was jumping around a lot. So I would go to school in Batlow, to a primary school there, and then I would go up to the snow, and I was either homeschooled or I would go to a small school called Cabramatta, and that was the closest school. And Cabramatta is the highest town in Australia, and they've got a little school there. And when I was going there was about 5 kids in the entire school. So the entire school fit in one classroom, and they'd be all different years. So that was interesting because there'd really only be like 1 or 2 teachers as well for the entire school. But very unique, and going to school was actually really funny because back in the 80s, the resort had to deal with all its own rubbish, and so we had this old rickety garbage truck, and Dad would load up the garbage truck with garbage, and then we'd hop in and then drive this thing down this windy road all the way to Cabramatta, and we'd get dropped off at school, and the kids would pick on us because like we were getting dropped off at school in a garbage truck. It was really funny to them. But there's some days, it doesn't happen all the time in Australia, but there are some days where the roads are shut because you're snowed in and you just can't go anywhere, and so you can't get to school. There was a few times where we went on the back of a snowmobile or a skidoo or a sled or whatever it is in your country you call it. So that's interesting, going to school on a snowmobile, and really fun. But you wouldn't get away with it these days because it's pretty far and you're riding on roads and things like that, unregistered. But these are the sort of things you did in the 80s. And so sometimes you just couldn't even get out, and you'd go skiing and that sort of thing. But when the roads were open, there was always about 30 to 40 minutes where you could come home, rush inside, get your ski gear on, get your boots and your skis on, and go out and get like half an hour to 35 minutes of skiing before the lift shut after school every single day. So you'd ski almost every single day, and it was great because I had my cousin there and my sister, and we did everything together, and we were super competitive, and we were in the race club together. And so every single weekend we were getting race training, and we'd go out, and you'd also muck up a little bit, like after the lift shut, before you'd have to go home and do homework, you might play some touch footy on the snow, or like you get the toboggans out, all those snow tubes, and after everyone had left. And it's so busy and hectic on a ski resort through the day, but after everyone leaves at night, it just becomes so peaceful, and the stars and the galaxy up there, because the air is so clear and you're high up, and the air's thin, so there's not much distortion. You can just see so many stars, like, and the Milky Way is just absolutely amazing because there's not many lights up there either. So the view at night was unbelievable. sometimes they'd have the snowmakers going, and the sight of that is amazing. And I remember we had this hot tub. It was like a 7 or 8 man hot tub out on a jacuzzi or a spa, out on this deck, and it was outside in the snow. And whenever it would snow, we'd make hot chocolates and go out there and sit in this like spa, which was like 41 degrees Celsius, while it was snowing on our heads, and we'd have our beanies on and everything like that. So really fond memories of that, and it was such an amazing childhood, and something that like I really wish I could do for my daughter as well. A big reason why we're in Canberra is so I can get my daughter down to the snow, so she can have like what it's like to sort of grow up at least near a ski resort and become a really good skier and have that part of her life, because I grew up on the snow, and so skiing became such a big part of my life. And for the rest of my life, skiing has been one of the main focuses of my entire life. In fact, probably the focus of my life. And as a result, skiing has taken me on some of the most amazing adventures all around the world. And some of the places I've been to have been absolutely amazing. And I wouldn't have had that unless I had the childhood that I had. And so I'm just so incredibly grateful that I was able to experience that. Not many kids get to experience what I experienced as a kid, and I'll always carry that with me. And I'm hoping that you enjoyed this story about my childhood and the unique experience of growing up right on a ski field. I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.